When I first made an inquiry back in 1995 about what did we do here, I went to the local historical society, the local library, and asked, where are we at? And the library pointed me to the historical society. The historical society pulled out 3 file folders labeled colored. So I'm like, no, we did a lot more than 3 file folders. Just by looking around and saying, we've been here for decades. So what is our story? Who's telling the story? Who's controlling that dialogue? So I've been in my personal quest as a personal interest to find out what was going on. And in that, I started meeting family members and community members and organizers and asked them what was happening in the North Shore. And each one started unfolding story after story after story. And I keep on thinking about the 3 file folders I saw. They had these newspaper clippings of obituary or mentions that were domestic maids and servants. I said, no, we're a lot more than that. We are a powerful community of entrepreneurs, of citizens that have given their life and blood to this country. And in order to keep our stories alive, we have to control that narrative. You know, on the outset, that was my mission with the development of Shorefront. I want to have a place where people can come and tell their stories, have it documented, and have it archived. Now, normally if you come down here, we have the setup for performance tonight, but normally this area where we're standing now are rows and rows of rolling bookshelves with archival boxes. Looks like these, acid-free boxes that contain history. Some of the files that we have here date back to before the turn of the century, documenting our legacies here. One of the first collections I started getting was music. All right, it's entertaining, I'm liking this. And I started hearing some things about what was transpired out in the North Shore. And I have 2 of these panels up hanging on the walls here. Patty Drew, who herself, with her music, defined soul music. How many of you saw the movie The Butler? So there was a scene where he had some youth riding a bus to a protest, and the background music was working on Tell Him. That was Patty Drew's song. We're into contemporary people, and so happy to have Mr. Ratliff here for a number of reasons. I'm gonna pull this photograph out, flashback in the past. Chip understood what we're trying to do. And you've already immediately started thinking like, hey, I got stuff in my basement. I got things that are hanging around. What am I gonna do with this? So we brought it over here, where we had a team of processors that looked through our entire music collection and said, let's put together a collection that charts the music scene in the North Shore. Because usually when you hear a music scene, you hear New York, you hear Chicago, and the surrounding suburbs are always glossed over, if they're even mentioned. But who knew that the gems started out in the North Shore? The Foster Brothers, Patty Drew, Kay Davis, who sang for 7 years with Duke Ellington. So that our future generations can come back and say, hey, we don't have folders that say color. We have a box of musicians by name. And here's what they did. That's controlling our narrative. So over the years, as we did this, we went from my own 3 file folders and updated the terminology to over 200 linear feet of boxes that look like this. Imagine this whole area with rows and rows of bookshelves, 5 feet high, 5 feet wide, with boxes like these. That's our legacy. Shorefront's a nonprofit. We've had over this past year, over 200 students that came and utilized the space for their research and work and papers. One student even published a book. We have people who are pursuing their collegiate degrees and doctorates, writing their dissertations, working with our firsthand resources. We've had a book that was produced by Rachel Swarens on the history of Michelle Obama. Turns out that her grandmother lived here in Evanston. So all these connective stories, contemporary and in past, W.B. Du Bois came to Evanston 3 different times to speak on behalf of a politician who was running for alderman in 1930. Ran and won and held seat for 17 years and was responsible for desegregating the public facilities here in Evanston. That's a legacy that's not been told or shared in common dialogue, but now it is. So as you're down here enjoying yourself, know that we are a nonprofit, and this takes money. To have groups here takes money. If you see it in your heart, in your minds, in your soul, and your passion to donate to this worthy cause, feel free to do so. One of the newer initiatives that we've been working on is capturing the voice of our youth that they control. The young lady I told you that wrote her book, it was a series of 33 interviews of her peers. And the basic questions that she asked is, what is your project you're working on? What do you think about growing up in Evanston? How did you get here? And give us your thoughts about the community. Every single one of those students, and this is how advanced our students are, was talking about diversity and equity in Evanston. Whereas a couple students said fake diversity, fake equity, and how they're able to put together why they feel this way and what they see how their adults or in government is running everything in society. And saying there's something wrong here and it needs to be fixed. But we're kids and we don't have a voice and nobody's listening to us. So now we have not only this publication, but it's all captured on audio. You capture the photograph. So 50, 100 years from now, their kids, their great-grandkids will come back and say, look, that's my mom, that's my dad. And this is how they contribute to our community using their voice.